AP article here I found on AOL. Officer who shot Rayshard Brooks charged with felony murder. I'm sure all of you know pretty much this story. There isn't a rock big enough for you to have not heard a lot of this stuff going around lately. We'll just briefly read some of it real quick, kind of skip around a little bit, but it says the Atlanta officer who fatally shot Rayshard Brooks in the back, I like the way they frame that, after the fleeing man pointed a stun gun in his direction, will be charged with felony murder and 10 other charges, a prosecutor said Wednesday. Did you see that press conference? My word. Woo! Those charges, ridiculous, right? Now, the title I'm putting up says it all. I stand with Officer Rolfe on this one. I talked about this before. This isn't a Derek Chauvin, George Floyd situation. Not even close. This isn't even, in my estimate, this isn't even, in my opinion, an Arbery and McMichael's situation. I think this one falls further along the spectrum of self-defense and defensibility. The Arbery, McMichael one, I'm not fully versed in that one yet. I haven't really formulated an opinion. But with what I have now, and things can change, I'm with Officer Rolfe here. The prosecutor's coming out with all these charges. The funny thing is he was claiming the other officer on the scene was going to testify against Officer Rolfe. That was Officer Brosnan. And Officer Brosnan's attorney was like, where'd you get that information? They said, that isn't what's happening. It was never agreed upon. So it's pretty funny how the DA came out and said this stuff. I had heard that the DA was under investigation by the GBI as well, the Georgia Bureau of Investigations. He's up for re-election, politics being what they are. That's why the Atlanta mayor's talking trash. I talked about that about a week ago. Oh, but I had to weigh in on this real quick. Felony murder. Charging him with felony murder. What's the felony murder? What's the felony? Getting beat up? I mean, come on. That drunk dude took down 2 officers, grabbed a stun gun, ran away, and he didn't even get his Wendy's. Wendy's hamburgers are not too bad. French fries are pretty bad, but in the video I did on this previously, we kind of moved down a little bit in the article here, but it's what it says here. A police body camera footage shows Brooks and officers having a relatively calm and respectful conversation for more than 40 minutes. You believe that? 40-minute conversation. I'm sitting there and I'm watching this thing, and we only get the short version of the video, of course, where he's going to make the arrest, when he's going to put the cuffs on, and you see him pull away. You see Rayshard start to tense up, and it's like, you know what's going to happen. And I talk about this often. What I talk about is everybody talks about police reform. In light of this, the Chauvin situation, yeah, you got me on the Chauvin situation. I'm not even, you can't defend that. But people talk about police reform. They talk about chokeholds. Where was a chokehold? In none of the cases did this happen. People talk about abolishing the police. This is crazy talk. We see what happens in the Chaz. They try to call it the CHOP now. I think they want to stick with the Chaz because they know what's up. But people talk about police reform and there's never any mention. Now, I'm not going to speak for everyone. I'm just going off of what I see on TV. Every conversation that talks about police reform, and even those individuals that are, say, centrist or more right on the political spectrum, they'll say, yeah, we need this, we need that. I'm with some police reform, but there's never any accountability. There's never any accountability the other way. And this is what I always talk about. And granted, we can have the conversation one way, I guess, but for me, I can't have the conversation about police reform without mentality reform. And this is something I've talked about many times. It's this behavior that's instilled in individuals from an early age. Can you imagine yourself in the same situation and the cop goes to put cuffs on you and you're what? You're going to fight the cops? Doesn't matter what color you are. Any of you out there watching this, would that enter your mind to just go out and be like, you know what? Forget those cuffs. I'm going to fight these officers. What kind of idiot, it's special kind of course, is raised that way? And granted, I was raised differently than all of you. We all have a different story about how we came up, but I was never raised that way. I was never raised in a way where it would even enter my mind. And I've had incidences with cops. I've been pulled over. That was the end of it. Let me think here real quick. I'm trying to think in my life, how many interactions with police have I had? It could be 5, maybe 6, maybe 7. But it was speeding ticket, accident. Most of them were speeding or something like that. And let's say the 4 times related specifically to speeding, for instance. And I don't do that anymore. Learned my lesson. Those tickets are pretty steep. It's been like 10 years since I've had one of those. But 2 times they let me off. 2 times I was given a ticket. It's different than obviously you're drunk. Apparently this guy's a loser. He's a felon. He beats his kids or beats somebody's kids. So it's the mentality like I talk about. Me, license, registration, here you go. Fingers crossed as he's running my information. Please let me get off with a warning. Please let me get off with a warning. Just be courteous, be respectful. A couple times it's worked out, a couple times it hasn't. I went on about my day. So what I'm talking about, and I hope you're with me on this, is when you are raised to be disrespectful and militant toward law enforcement, you're setting yourself up for this situation. You're setting yourself up to have a situation like this happen to you. And I don't think that there's any amount of police reform that can be done. You can abolish your police departments. Please, Minneapolis. Please, Seattle. Please do it. Please, New York City, do it. I support the Blue Flu, by the way. I hope they do it on July 4th in New York City. But until you change the mentality of people to where they know that just being a stupid low-life criminal isn't a way to live, and when you have an interaction with an authority figure that's there to just keep everybody safe, you think cops want to be involved in these kind of situations? Everybody has a family. People have families. They don't want to be involved in this stuff. I'm sure they would love a night where there were no calls. They didn't have to do anything, no crime going on, nothing like that. But every time you get put in a situation where they have to go out into these communities where these individuals have been raised disrespectful from birth, and you see it with these goon celebrities, athletes, actors the same way. Oh, F the police, F the police. Like, that's a hard thing to say, right? Ooh, ACAB, ooh. Like, that's not hard. That doesn't make you bad to say that stuff. Anybody can say that stuff. But again, just getting back to it, the mentality has to change. Individuals have to be raised to respect everybody, not just the cops, but to have respect for everybody. And until that happens, it doesn't matter how many reforms we have. It doesn't matter reimagining the police. It doesn't matter how that happens. You can reimagine whatever you want to reimagine, but as long as you have a society where individuals suck and they're pieces of garbage and they're always out there just committing crime, like I said, low-life dregs, losers, until that mentality's changed, nothing's going to change. Police are still going to be needed. People are still going to be shot dead because they try to fight the police. And crime's still going to happen. Simplistic, right? That's the way I think about it. It's simple. Change the mentality. Now, like I said, I know that's hard to break that cycle. Strong and I have talked about that. Shout out to you again. But it's changing the mentality, right? You have to have somebody in your life, an adult figure who's raising you properly, that raises you the right way and says, hey, this is how you behave. We see these commercials where this one where it was like a black mom was trying to have this conversation with her black daughter. Oh, we've got to have the talk. And of course, the talk is about police and police brutality, stuff like that. And when you raise your kids to be fearful of the police instead of raising them to just be respectful, no matter what color you are, be respectful of police and everybody. Don't commit crime. Don't be a fucking loser. Why be a loser in life? Have fun. This life is great. We live in the greatest country there is. There's so much great stuff going on here. I don't understand how people keep fucking up. They get themselves killed. People lose their jobs. This cop's mom, Rolfe, his stepmom, excuse me, she got fired from her job just because she's his stepmother. Lives are ruined. People die because people are raised to have disrespect for everyone and no respect for their self. So that's all I've got. That's my rant. I don't know. Am I off base on this? Let me know what you think. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Take it easy.